Hi guys and welcome back. As some of you know, I am swing trading and investing in the stock market for the past 6 years. Today I would like to discuss the current market situation and what are my favorite stocks which I am investing in right now. The stock market crashed 35% in March. This is a lot, and this was all because of the coronavirus fears and because of fears for the next recession. Especially for new beginners, this is very dangerous because people tend to ignore risk management and they are losing a lot of money. Such huge corrections are, of course, opportunities for the next bull market and for huge runs. And I'm very optimistic about that. And we are seeing also currently a very huge bounce in the stock market. After Fed pumped so much money into the markets and the rates are at zero, a lot of bigger institutions and hedge funds are starting to buy. And this was almost the case in March. All that is the result of the big bounce which we are seeing in the past week. Therefore, it's important to stay prepared and watch the right stocks when the opportunity shows itself. I'm buying my stocks based on fundamental and technical analysis. So I'm basically researching the companies and I'm looking for growth stocks which have huge potential for runs, and then I'm combining that with the charts. So basically I'm doing my entries based on the charts, but overall I am researching the stock in depth to know which companies I'm investing in. Also, I'm building a position based on the support and resistance levels on the charts, and I'm never entering a position at once into the stock. So I'm just basically moving in and out into the stock depending on the support and resistance levels. This gives me, of course, more flexibility. So if I see that certain resistance levels are reached, I'm getting some of my position out. And if I see that certain support levels are reached, I'm trying to build my position. So the first stock which I'm looking at since the last weeks is Doku or DocuSign. The company provides cloud-based software and offers e-signature solution that enables businesses to digitally prepare, execute, and act on agreements. This kind of business is very important, especially now in the coronavirus, because companies are looking to work online and they are trying to build their businesses in order to proceed and using more and more digital solutions. Before I get into any stock, first I'm taking a look at the earnings per share and, of course, some other in-depth financial KPIs. Of course, I guess for some of you all that is not understandable probably, but I'm basically looking how is the growth of the earnings per share for the last quarters, for the last 3 years, and what is the sales of the company for the last 3 years and quarters, and also some other KPIs. I'm going also in depth and looking into the SEC filings as well. When I see that the company has a potential for further growth, I am taking a look on the chart, and if I like the chart and if the chart is near support and resistance, then I start to build my position. So let's go ahead and take a look at the chart of Doku. So basically this is the 3-year chart of the company, and I'm focusing more on the past 3 years or on the past years. And as you see, Doku was at $43.70 back in 2019, and now it's at $98. So it's almost 100% on the upside. And especially in this weak market, when we saw such a market crash, we still have a relative strength of the stock. So the company never closed below the 200 moving average, which I'm looking at, of course, too. So when I started to look at chart, I was interesting around here in this area. I'm building positions through different accounts. Some accounts I hold more on the long term, which I'm holding for years, and here this one is, for example, something which I would hold probably for a couple of months. So for me, Doku is very interesting if we see somewhere around those levels, like 80 or around the 200 moving average, 70, 80, or around the last support 64.25. So I'm basically drawing my lines and I am looking around those levels. If I see that the stock goes around those levels, I am looking how it closes, and then I can go ahead and build my position based on that. The second stock which I am invested in already since February and which is very interesting to me is AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. The company operates a semiconductor worldwide and basically has two segments, computing and graphics. The most products include microprocessors, and I think this is also a great opportunity during the coronavirus, since a lot of people would spend time in front of the PCs and some of their products are much needed right now. So let's take a look at some of the fundamentals and earnings per share. As we see, we have extremely huge growth of the company. Growth rate of the past 3 years is 190%, and the consecutive years of annual growth for the earnings per share is 4. So we are seeing since the last years steadily growth of the company, which is for me a very good sign that this may continue. We also see that the sales are up 50% compared to the last quarter, and we have 3-year sales growth rate of 14%. Of course, like I said, I'm looking at some other fundamentals, but this is basically a summary of the most important which I'm looking at. I'm looking also at the relative strength, so how is the stock acting during, like, for example, right now during the market crash. Is the stock bought by institutions for the past 3 months and years, of course? And if the institution keep buying that stock, that keeps me, of course, also interested. So let's take a look at the chart of AMD. This is basically the 3 years chart of AMD, and as we see, at some point it was at $9 and currently it's trading at $48, $49. The all-time high was at $59. The price of the stock is accelerating, and since 2019 it almost doubled. So this gives me basically the idea that this rally may continue, and especially with those strong fundamentals which I see and the institutions which are buying this stock, I am interested to keep building my positions around some support levels. For example, let's see the current action during the crash. So as we see also, this stock couldn't close below the 200 moving average, which is very strong in this current market. And we also see that we are currently breaking out of those levels. So for me, I am interested to see how the stocks react at those levels. So if we see the price coming here back, I would be looking maybe to add something to my portfolio, and depending on which levels we are reaching, this is also some smaller support level, I am looking also here to build my position around. Of course, I'm like I said, I'm not building everything at once, so I'm buying small pieces at different levels, and this gives me the flexibility to exit the position at some point and move in and out of the stock. The next stock which I'm looking at is Alibaba, Baba, and the company has some businesses for the Republic of China and international. It operates in 4 segments: core commerce, cloud computing, digital media, and entertainment. So let's take a look at the earnings per share KPIs and some other KPIs. As we see, we have here 47% change of the earnings per share for the last quarter. And we see, of course, also here some kind of acceleration, not as much as the last 2 stocks, but overall we see growth in this company. And like I said, I'm looking also at some other KPIs. If the company is being bought from some institutions and if it has relative strength compared to the whole market and its sector. We see consecutive years of annual growth of 4, and the 3-year growth rate is 28%. This gives me basically the idea that the company may continue to grow, and therefore I'm interested to look into the chart. So let's go ahead and see how the chart looks like. This chart is not as strong as the previous two which I showed you, but we still have a very strong chart here for the past years. So if we see what happened during the market crash, of course we saw some declining of the stock and it closed below the 200 moving average. But right now we are seeing a comeback and the stock is reclaiming the 200 moving average and also the other moving averages which I'm looking at. So if we see a continuation of that uptrend, I'm interested to keep building a position in that stock because I'm already invested since a long time. I would keep building my core position around some support levels, and of course I am going to take some off along the way on the resistance levels, like for example 213 or $227. So of course, guys, those stocks are just a very small amount of my portfolio, and I am looking at some other different stocks. I am continuously building my watch list and looking through different stocks, researching always different stocks. I just wanted to share with you the basic idea of how I am trading and investing, how I am researching the stocks, and if you are interested in more videos or in more in-depth research, just leave me a message on Instagram or Twitter and I will be happy to help you. Thank you. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, guys, if you like that video, and leave me a message if you want to see more of those in-depth research.